Hey everyone, John Henry here, slingshotfutures.com, and welcome to the daily market outlook for futures and Forex, where we take a look at our big six markets so we know basically what's going on, or at least what we're expecting to happen for tomorrow, and then we can make a plan and follow that plan and trade our rules and all that fun stuff. So, kicking off, we'll take a look at the futures markets. First, we'll look at gold, crude, and the Dow, and then we'll end up on the Forex markets with the Euro USD, the pound dollar, and the dollar yen. So, kicking things off, first of all, before we dig into all of the different markets, one big thing that really stands out is just the massive amount of news that we have going on tomorrow. Looking at everything that's happening tomorrow in conjunction with the movement that we had today actually moved pretty well, and there wasn't a whole lot going on today for movement. So, or for news rather. So the fact that we had pretty good movement today with a lack of news, and now tomorrow, here's what we're looking at for tomorrow. We have a lot of news scheduled for tomorrow throughout the entire day. Not only is it just during the US session, but you also have some for the European session, the US session, as well as the Australian session. So it's really going all day, and these are just the big announcements. So we need to keep that in mind for tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of downtime because we need to trade around those news levels. We don't want to trade into a news report because that's, well, if you've ever done it before, you know how it happens, right? You trade into a news announcement and then you get back 3 trades worth of profit. So you got to play it a little bit cautious when you're trading around those news events. So just keep that in the back of your head for tomorrow. But looking at gold, we had a really nice run higher. We started off the morning a little bit, it was up, right? Nice bullish move, but kind of grindy. Then we started catching some legs inside here. Nice big bull run at around 9 o'clock last night. And then we started off again with another one shortly after midnight. Went to a little bit of consolidation and then another big run higher. And more consolidation and another big run higher. And that kind of formed a little bit of a top of a wedge that looked like the buyers may have overdone it a little bit. They went a little too far, a little too fast, and when they came back to that high, it was immediately pushed right back down by the sellers, telling us, yeah, that's probably the case. So what we're looking for going into today's session is pullback, right? We're probably going to go into a range for a little while, let the buyers try to buy low instead of buying at the highs. They're obviously not interested up here anyway. So we're looking to buy pullbacks. Now, we're still bullish. The overall momentum to the upside is very apparent. But we have to be careful in buying too high. The last thing you want to do on a range pullback type scenario in a larger trend is buy right here, because it's probably going to do something like that and then go. So what we're really looking for here is for the market to take a quick dip down, whether that's to 1213 or to kind of the hot zone that we've seen so far this morning, major support and resistance all the way through at around 11.8 or so. Either way, it's going to be really difficult to buy up here because it's very high. Now, we do have a nice bullish run to get things going, so there will be some aggressive buyers, but those same aggressive buyers will buy here, but they're also going to buy more here, and buy more here, and buy more here, and they're going to be scaling in on the way down. So what we're looking to do is just buy a deeper pullback. I don't trust it up here so far. I would rather see them pull back to give a better price to jump in on, and then run back towards the highs. Now, the overall weakness that we saw on the highs earlier this morning at around 6 o'clock shows us that even if we do push back up, we're probably not going to break through the highs, or if we do, not by much. So the major objective is between 17.7 and 18.9, and probably not a whole lot more through that. So I'm looking to be a buyer for that move back up towards the highs, but we need to do it on a pullback. In the crude oil's world, we had, mostly it just kind of ended as a huge range. Really thought it was going to end up as a nice big bull run, but we did have some clues of possible range. Very sideways momentum to the downside, new high. Sellers tried taking it back, and then boom, big slam through the highs, and they met their major objectives up at the top, where we found a lot of inventory up there as well, between 53.52 down to 53.41. And ever since then, the buyers haven't been able to hang on for very long. Big drop lower off of the highs. Arguably, this was setting up a situation where, maybe we're going to go into a little bit of a range, slight bullish bias. The buyers bought into the low pretty aggressively. Even later, when there wasn't really much of a shot of it going back to the highs, they were still buying into that area. So that location becomes an area of interest. When the market comes back to it, support turns into resistance and a nice reversal back down off that level. Now, there was a very aggressive drop lower. I think it's pretty apparent that the sellers meant a lot of business when they hit that area. And now we have some major open-ended movement to the downside. The sellers were not joking around at all on that retest. And after this amount of movement, you always expect to see at least the sellers to make another attempt at the lows. I mean, the best case that the buyers can even hope for right now, even though we are in an area of earlier major support, is that they just go into a range for a little while, and then they're going to have a shot to reverse it. Likelihood still lies with the bears, but we need to see a slightly better correction. Sellers are going to have a hard time selling this far down unless they feel forced to. And right now, I don't really think they feel forced to. At the earliest, aggressive sellers will be selling at around 52.55. A lot of sellers would rather wait for a pushback up towards, even as low, or I guess as high, as 52.81 would be really nice. But we do have yesterday's high floating inside there as well at 52.72. So those areas right inside here would be a nice hot zone for possible selling pressure back down to the lows. Over on the Dow is the most range bound out of all of them. We had a big cycle to the downside, cycle to the upside. They tried cycling down, but made another pop up to the highs, and now they've got the cycle to the downside. So range bound. We know what to do with the range. We're looking to buy low, we're looking to sell high, and we're looking to stay the heck out of the middle, right? Now, the location where we are right now, this is off the back of a huge drop lower. And the sellers did arguably sell into it for another push down. We found monthly support levels as well as major inventory, which is a failed breakout to the downside, and now we are popping back up in. We don't want to be buyers way up here. What I would much rather do is look for them to dip back down into that earlier inventory, find the buyers' support it once again between 19,729 to 19,717, and then get the move back up from there. Major objective is back to the range highs, but there's a chance that we don't make it up to those major highs, given the amount of low side failures we had earlier before they finally broke down. We may see the same thing here, where they try to go down, they try to go down, and they try to go up, and they try to go up, and we go into a little bit of a range, and then we get the breakout. So we have to be a little bit careful here. I don't want to buy this high up. I'm looking to buy a pullback on the Dow, assuming that the range low has now been put in. Over on the Forex markets, looking at the Euro USD, nice big run higher here in the overnight session, and now we're just kind of ending up as a wedge. We're seeing the buyers lose a little bit of steam up here ever since the high was made just before 7 o'clock. We haven't made another new high. Now, that being said, after the low was made at around 8:30, we haven't made a new low either. So we're just kind of pinned between this high and this low, and we're having a little bit of difficulty inside here. You can see the very obvious apparent range that's forming, and what I would really like to see, given that we have a range and a wedge in an otherwise bullish market, I want to see an attempted breakout to the downside, trap sellers in, and then shove it right back in their face and take their stops out above those highs and finish the move off. So right now, the major areas of interest that I would like to be buying into would be 69.32 down to 68.96, and if we can get it down to, between 67.61 down to 66.85. We do also have the prior week high support at 67.34, which may be kind of the, break the difference, right? Call it good right in the middle. So looking to buy in the initial pullback, slightly more aggressive up here, but they might not give you another choice, or looking to buy a bigger pullback down to that area of interest below before we get that run back up towards the highs. Over on the pound dollar, we can say the euro was bullish, but man, the pound dollar makes it look like just children's toys, right? This is a massive run to the upside, and the pound dollar isn't showing any signs of stopping. The big thing that we need to keep in mind is the fact that we've had a triple top push. We've had that big move up, they pulled back, nice breakout move, and when they tried to come back to it, it was immediately failed, and it held for quite a while before they finally broke above it, and now they're trying to use it as support. If this fails to hold as support, now keep in mind, it looks like they're really trying. This could be a buying area right now. But if this fails to hold, you're expecting a deeper pullback down to 23,504, maybe even down to 23,299 or to 23,112 to 22,986. Those are the big areas that I would love to be a buyer in. Arguably, up here, we are seeing the sellers kind of, not do so hot. The sellers tried. The buyers are defending that area once resistance turns support. And now we're seeing the buyers continue to shove that market up. So if you are aggressive, I don't necessarily disagree with buying, but you got to buy small enough because your stop still should go way down there, assuming that we may get a deeper pullback. What I'm looking for is a bigger pullback into an area of interest, 23,504 at the very least, if not a little further down to our major area lows, 23,112 down to 22,986. And then finally, over on the dollar yen, the inverse pair compared to the rest of them, nice bearish trend working its way lower. We had a big pop that happened at around 6:30 going on to 8:30 or so, and all of the buying pressure subsided, and we made a move back down to a new low. And even more so, we pulled back again, decent correction. Once support turns resistance, right? Once support turns into resistance, and the sellers sell it back down to a new low, and that forms a wedge base. Now, is this going to be the bottom of the move? Chances are it might be for a little while. We may just be stuck in a range from here on out until we get a little bit of a bigger pop. Sellers are going to be very hesitant to sell down here because there's no room to make any profit. Normally, you want to sell when there's room, right? You want to be selling up here because you have the opportunity to catch this. When you're selling here, you have the opportunity to catch this, right? So it's very difficult for sellers to sell this far down. What I would rather see is at least a quick little pop higher. Selling above this most recent swing high would be okay, 112,783, but it might still be a little too shallow. The big area of interest, 113,199 down to 113,095, and if they really want to give a big bull move, 113,582 to 532. Probably not going to get that one though. This one looks the most likely if they are going to catch a bigger reversal, and aggressive sellers have an option here as well to continue that drive down. So overall, looking to be a seller here on the dollar yen, just not this far down. The last place I want to be selling is into the bottom of a wedge. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So that's going to do it for this one. If you haven't already, make sure to swing on over to Slingshot Futures, scroll down and subscribe to this newsletter so you never miss it when it comes out. It's sent directly to your inbox. Along with that, always make a plan. We always talk about this over and over and over today, and over and over all the time. Make a plan, follow the plan, trade the plan, stick to those rules, and you will do just fine. As always, until next time, we will see you all tomorrow.